This conference will now be recorded.
So we have dealt with the thyroid malignancies. We have started thyroid malignancies. So last class we have spoken about the medullary carcinoma of thyroid and as well as anaplastic carcinoma of thyroid. These two we have dealt in the last class. And in general, what are the differences in the thyroid malignancy? The four main malignancies of thyroid, that is papillary carcinoma of thyroid, anaplastic follicular carcinoma of thyroid, so medullary carcinoma. So all the four malignancies. So what are the differences? So main two we have dealt, that is medullary carcinoma of thyroid and anaplastic carcinoma of thyroid. So today we will be dealing with the papillary carcinoma, follicular carcinoma of thyroid. Those two we will be dealing today. So and differences between all the four we have discussed. So today to start with, we'll just have a brief introduction of thyroid. What are the tumors in thyroid? Just the benign and malignant tumor. In the malignant, we have already finished two. The other two, that is follicular carcinoma and papillary, we will be dealing. And thyroid malignancies are very important because many question papers have given. So name thyroid, name some malignant tumors of thyroid. Then you have to write about medullary, anaplastic, follicular as well as papillary carcinomas of thyroid. And sometimes just the individual questions. So like last time, medullary carcinoma of thyroid, short notes, follicular carcinoma of thyroid, papillary carcinoma of thyroid. They can come as short notes. So malignancies of thyroid is very, very important. So we have finished two malignancies, that is medullary and anaplastic carcinoma. Today, papillary and follicular carcinoma. Before that, just a brief introduction on malignancy, and then we'll go to these two individual malignancy. So when you're talking about the thyroid tumors, so you have to divide it between the benign and malignant. So benign tumors of thyroid are follicular adenoma. So the malignant tumors of thyroid are nothing but carcinomas, lymphomas, sarcomas, and metastasis. So when you talk about the thyroid tumors, so benign tumor, main benign tumor is follicular adenoma. So the malignant tumors of the thyroid are carcinomas we are discussing. Apart from carcinomas, so you have lymphoma, sarcoma, and metastasis can also occur to the thyroid. From various organs, you can also have metastasis to the thyroid. Now, what is follicular adenoma? It is a benign tumor of thyroid, most commonly seen in case of adult women. So what is the clinical presentation? Presents as a solitary nodule. So this follicular adenoma should be differentiated from nodular goiter, which also presents in the form of nodule, and other thyroid carcinomas. And most of the adenomas are cold nodules. Very, very important. Most of the adenomas are cold nodules. So whenever toxic hot nodule is there, then it is mainly a toxic adenoma. Adenomas are rarely malignant. So follicular adenoma, main features, it is a main benign tumor of the thyroid, most common benign tumor of thyroid, presents as solitary nodule, should be differentiated from the other nodular goiter and other thyroid carcinoma, presents as a cold nodule. So the adenoma, so when you cut the thyroid, morphology of the brows of the thyroid is important. How do you identify adenoma in case of thyroid? You can see that this is an adenoma of thyroid, so which is nothing but well encapsulated gray white tumor. It is a well encapsulated gray white lesion. So this is the capsule and it is well encapsulated gray white lesion. So this is an adenoma, gray white single lesion, which is a well encapsulated. So, and this is a nodular goiter. So, nodular goiter, you have multiple nodules of varying sizes, which are filled with colloid. This is nodular goiter. So, that is how do you describe the gross appearance of follicular adenoma? So, you can see that it is a single nodule with encapsulation. That is adenoma. Nodular goiter means multiple nodules of varying sizes filled with colloid. So solitary nodule for follicular adenoma, a single nodule with complete encapsulation. So it is a single nodule with a complete encapsulation. And on microscopy, you can see that the architecture, the thyroid architecture inside the capsule is different from the thyroid architecture which is outside the capsule. And also there is compression of the thyroid parenchyma outside the capsule. So adenoma, so grossly, when we look in cut section of thyroid, it presents as a single encapsulated nodule, and microscopically the architecture which is there within the nodule is different from the architecture which is outside the capsule, and there is compression of the thyroid parenchyma outside the capsule. And usually follicular adenomas are small. There are 3 centimeters in diameter. Cut section, they're gray white to gray brown and less colloidal than the surrounding thyroid parenchyma. Secondary changes or degenerative changes in case of adenoma are fibrous scarring, you can see, calcification, you can see, hemorrhage and cyst formation. So these are the secondary changes. So that is fibrosis, calcification, hemorrhages and cyst formation. So what do you see microscopically? Microscopically also you see there is a well encapsulated nodule or well encapsulated lesion, you can say. Capsulation, so with well encapsulated lesion, complete fibrous encapsulation you can see. And the tumor cells, so within the capsule you have benign follicular epithelial cells, which are arranged in the form of follicles of varying sizes. So what are the arrangements of these benign follicular epithelial cells within the nodule? What you can see? You can see that they can be trabecular arrangement, microfollicular, macrofollicular arrangement, solid and chord pattern. All these patterns you can see. 6 types of growth patterns you can see sometimes. So what you have microscopically, you can have that particular adenoma has complete encapsulation, and what you can see is within the within the encapsulation, whatever lesion is there, you see that the follicles are lined by benign follicular epithelial cells. The pattern of arrangement can be in the form of microfollicles or macrofollicles, trabecular arrangement, solid arrangement, or in the form of chord. Sometimes 6 types of growth patterns also, 6 types of pattern you can also see. So when do you call microfollicles? The follicles are less than 3 millimeters in size. So then it is called as microfollicular arrangement or fetal adenomas. And these follicles have little or no colloid, and they're separated by the abundant loose stroma. So microfollicles means follicle less than 3 millimeters in diameter. They have little or no colloid, separated by abundant loose stroma. So next is macrofollicular arrangement, means follicles greater than 3 millimeters and they are distended with colloid. Normal follicles, they almost appear like normal thyroid follicles. So you have microfollicular, normofollicular and macrofollicular arrangement. Trabecular or embryonal adenoma, closely packed solid or trabecular pattern. So you have the packed pattern, slowly packed glands, closely packed glands, or the trabecular arrangement you can see. Trabecular means in the form of band, columns, or rods. So band-like arrangement, column or rod type of arrangement is trabecular pattern. Next, Hurthle cell adenoma. Hurthle cell adenoma is nothing but the cells. Here the cells which are arranged in trabecular pattern, these cells have abundant granular eosinophilic or oxyphilic cytoplasm and vesicular nuclei. They do not form follicles and contain little stroma. So trabecular arrangement means that the follicle, whatever thyroid follicles are there, they're arranged in the form of solid pattern or trabecular pattern in the form of band follicles. Hurthle cells means cells with abundant granular eosinophilic cytoplasm. Those are called as Hurthle cells. Atypical adenoma means the follicular epithelial cells, whatever are there, they have pleomorphism, increased mitotic activity, and nuclear atypia. So this is nothing but one kind of arrangement. This is nothing but microfollicular arrangement. So adenoma with the follicles arranged in the form of microfollicles. So what you can see, this is in high power and this is in low power. So follicles which are arranged. they're not appearing. This is like normal thyroid follicles. These are normal thyroid follicles. Here you can see that follicles are less than 3 millimeters in size, very tiny follicles. So this is microfollicular arrangement. So this is normal thyroid parenchyma. This is microfollicular arrangement, high power and low power in an adenoma. So you can see this is trabecular arrangement in the form of bands or pods, trabecular arrangement. And these are nothing but Huttal cell adenoma cells with, see, the cells are appearing very bright eosinophilic granular cytoplasm. This is nothing but Huttal cell adenoma. Next, this is atypical adenoma, the cells which are having hyperchromatic nuclei, and the lining follicular epithelial cells are very pleomorphic and the cells have bizarre nuclei. So this is nothing but atypical adenoma. So these are the patterns. And so this is microfollicular, and you can see that whatever adenoma is there, it is well encapsulated. So here you can see there is also a capsule, and the thyroid parent here capsule, and the thyroid parenchyma within the capsule is different from outside the capsule. So here you can see normal thyroid parenchyma, and here you can see microfollicular arrangement. So this is so various patterns of arrangement of adenoma microscopically, microfollicular. Next, Huttal cell adenoma. This is nothing but trabecular adenoma, and this you can see is atypical adenoma. So various pattern of adenoma. And very important point, what it is a benign tumor and does not have any capsular or vascular invasion. So the capsule is intact. There is no capsular or vascular invasion. Very important. Because if there is a capsular follicular arrangement of tumor cell with capsular or vascular invasion, then it is a follicular carcinoma. So here you have intact capsule and no vascular invasion. Thyroid carcinomas, usually they constitute primary thyroid carcinoma. Primary malignant tumors of thyroid are 95% of the cases. And lymphomas, primary lymphomas are less than 5% of thyroid cancers. So mainly whatever thyroid malignancies are there, they're primary. 95% are primary, and lymphomas are less than 5% of thyroid malignancies. So sarcomas occur in thyroid, but they're extremely rare. Lymphomas, when they occur in thyroid, whenever there is some autoimmune condition, autoimmune thyroiditis or Hashimoto's thyroiditis, lymphocytic thyroiditis, then you can have lymphomas. So most of the thyroid malignancy, 95% are primary, and around 5% are nothing but lymphomas. So majority are autoimmune lymphocytic or Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which gives rise to lymphomas. Sarcomas are extremely rare. So what are the metastases which can occur to the thyroid? So you can have metastasis of malignant melanoma and thyroid malignant melanoma, and also you can have RCC, renal cell carcinoma metastasizing to thyroid. Next, bronchogenic carcinoma. So you can have metastasis from malignant melanoma, renal cell carcinomas, as well as bronchogenic carcinomas. So metastasis from the lung, that is bronchogenic carcinomas, so kidney, renal cell carcinomas, and as well as malignant melanoma, which are common to the thyroid. And male to female ratio in thyroid malignancies are more common in females. So 1:2, more common in case of females. So 4 major malignant tumors of thyroid, carcinomas of thyroid, very important, with different clinical behavior and variable prevalence. So 4 major malignant tumors of thyroid are papillary, follicular, medullary, undifferentiated or anaplastic carcinoma. So 4 major malignant tumors of thyroid are papillary carcinoma, follicular carcinoma, medullary carcinoma, undifferentiated or anaplastic carcinoma. So they have different clinical behavior and variable prevalence. So these are 4 malignant tumors. Of these, medullary and anaplastic we have discussed. We have to discuss papillary and follicular. So what are the etiological factors causing thyroid malignancies? So several environmental factors like radiation, iodine, so can cause malignancy, as well as certain genetic alterations. Certain genetic alterations are characteristic for certain type of carcinomas. For example, papillary, so red proto-oncogene, like that. So some particular genetical alteration are particular for that particular carcinomas. So radiation is responsible, and as well as iodine, all this. So external radiation is responsible for causing thyroid malignancy. Increased risk of developing thyroid malignancy after many years after exposure to external radiation of high doses. So irradiation can cause thyroid malignancy when they're exposed to high doses. So then it can cause thyroid malignancy. So and thyroid cancer irradiation therapy. So when is the irradiation therapy given? So irradiation therapy in enlarged thymus or any skin disorders can cause thyroid cancer. So whenever irradiation therapy is being given in enlarged thymus or skin disorder, they can cause thyroid cancer, as well as Hiroshima and Nagasaki events. So atomic bomb survivors have increased risk of developing papillary carcinomas. Next, iodine excess also can cause thyroid malignancy and TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. So endemic goiter area, addition of iodine to the thyroid, excess iodine to the diet, so can cause increased risk of papillary carcinoma of thyroid. So excess of irradiation, iodine excess, and certain genetic alteration can cause thyroid malignancy. So what is the genetic basis? Very, very important genetic basis which can cause thyroid malignancy. For example, familial clustering can cause some thyroid malignancies, especially medullary carcinoma of thyroid. So familial clustering can cause thyroid malignancy, for example, so can cause medullary carcinoma. So what are the special molecular uh, genetics or molecular studies which can cause that particular malignancy? For example, I've already said the red gene overexpression can cause papillary carcinoma of thyroid. So certain genetic alterations can cause thyroid malignancy. For example, red gene overexpression can cause papillary carcinoma of thyroid, which is located on chromosome 10q. 20% of thyroid malignancies, red gene can cause papillary carcinoma, as well as genetic alteration, NTRK1. NTRK1, that is nothing but neurotrophic tyrosine kinase receptor 1 gene. So this is a recent addition of genetic alteration which can also cause thyroid malignancy. NTRK1, neurotrophic tyrosine kinase receptor 1. NTRK1, neurotrophic tyrosine kinase receptor 1 can also cause thyroid malignancy in 10% of cases. The location on the chromosome 1q. Next, so that is about papillary carcinoma. So what are the genes? The red gene as well as NTRK1 gene. So next, follicular carcinoma of thyroid. What is the gene which is responsible? So 50% have mutation in RAS gene. So what is RAS gene? It is a growth promoting oncogene. So growth promoting oncogene is nothing but RAS gene. So 50% have mutation in case of RAS gene. So the RAS gene, which type of RAS gene? That family, HRAS, NRAS, KRAS. So 50% of them have mutation in RAS gene. And fusion translocation between two genes. So other genes which are also responsible, PAX8 and PPR gamma 1. PAX8 is nothing but paired domain transcription factor, and PPAR gamma 1. These are nothing but peroxisomal proliferating activator receptor 1. So it is one of a diabetogenic gene also. PPAR1 is also a diabetogenic gene. So this is also responsible for follicular carcinoma. So follicular carcinoma, what are the genes? 50% mutation in RAS gene, which is the growth promoting oncogene. HRAS, KRAS, NRAS are the RAS genes, and fusion translocation between two genes. PAX81 is paired domain transcription factor, and PPAR gamma 1. So peroxisomal proliferating activating receptor gamma 1. It is also diabetogenic gene is responsible. And what is responsible for papillary carcinoma? Red gene as well as NTRK1, that is neurotrophic tyrosine kinase receptor 1. Now medullary carcinoma also you have a point mutation in RET proto-oncogene. So, and it is also responsible for MEN2A and sporadic cases. This is RET gene, which is also MEN2, that is multiple endocrine neoplasia 2, and also certain sporadic cases. The RET proto-oncogene is responsible for medullary carcinoma. Anaplastic thyroid carcinoma, we have mutation in P53. What is P53? Tumor suppressor gene. So there is a point mutation in case of P53 or tumor suppressor gene. And dedifferentiation of PTC bar follicular means, so anaplastic thyroid carcinomas usually arise from papillary thyroid carcinoma, follicular carcinoma, dedifferentiation, you get anaplastic carcinoma of thyroid, and P53 or tumor suppressor gene is mutated, as well as mutation in beta catenin pathway genes. Also, you have mutation in beta catenin pathway gene. So now we'll talk about papillary carcinoma of thyroid and follicular carcinoma. So already we have discussed the other two. So differences of all the four we have discussed. So we'll talk about papillary carcinoma. So it is a major type of carcinoma of thyroid. Almost up to 85% of the cases you have papillary carcinoma. More common in children and as well as young adults, you have papillary carcinoma, and increased, that is incidence higher with advancing age. With advancing age, you have papillary carcinoma of thyroid. Male to female ratio is more common in females, 1:3. It is a slowly growing malignant tumor of thyroid. And how does it present? It presents as asymptomatic solitary nodule. Very, very important. It has got lymph node metastasis most commonly to the cervical lymph node. So papillary carcinoma more commonly spreads to the cervical lymph node. Very, very important, because follicular carcinoma has blood-borne metastasis or hematogenous metastasis. Papillary carcinoma of thyroid, there is lymph nodal metastasis. Next, lateral aberrant thyroid. Thyroid tissue in the lateral cervical lymph node means whenever there is a thyroid tissue in any cervical lymph node, any lateral side of the neck, lateral cervical lymph node, it means that it is metastasis from the thyroid malignancy. Well differentiated metastasis from thyroid malignancy, which is usually papillary carcinoma of thyroid. Distant metastasis to various organs is rare. So most common thyroid malignancy, about 75% to 85% of the cases. So all the ages more common, but most common in case of children and young adults, and also increased incidence with advancing age. So male to female ratio is 1:3. 1:3, more common in female. The slowly growing malignant tumor presents as a solitary nodule. Cervical lymph node metastasis is common, most common, and whenever you have a lateral aberrant thyroid tissue, in case of any cervical lymph node, lateral cervical, it means that it is a metastasis from the hidden papillary carcinoma thyroid or occult papillary carcinoma thyroid. Distant metastasis is rare. So if you do not have a swelling in the thyroid, but you have swelling in the lateral aspect of the neck near the cervical lymph nodes. So when you have this particular swelling in the cervical lymph node, it could be a papillary carcinoma of thyroid, which has metastasized to the lateral cervical lymph node. So lateral, that is lateral aberrant thyroid. So you will have thyroid tissue in the cervical lymph node. It is nothing but metastasis from papillary carcinoma. Lateral aberrant thyroid tissue, that is nothing but thyroid tissue in the lateral cervical lymph node. So which is nothing but well differentiated metastasis of occult papillary thyroid carcinoma. So you have swelling here, but you do not have the swelling in the thyroid region. You have a swelling in the cervical region, that is cervical lymph node region. This is mostly metastasis from, this is well differentiated papillary carcinoma of the thyroid. So it is nothing but lateral aberrant thyroid because it is located near the cervical lymph. And most common metastasis of the cervical lymph. How does the gross of the papillary carcinoma? So you can see that in the cut set, gross or the morphology of papillary carcinoma. So usually it is nothing but a cystic lesion. So with multiple papillary excrescence, which you can see here. So a cystic lesion with multiple papillary excrescence. So what you can appreciate in case of papillary carcinoma of thyroid. And the nodules are up to 10 centimeter and delineated. So whatever nodules are there, they're about 10 centimeter. So they are grayish white, hard and scarlet. So gray white tumor. So what you can see that cyst, so with multiple papillary projection. So this is papillary cyst adenocarcinoma. So papillary carcinoma usually they can be like this, gray white and hard, gray white lesions, hard lesions. They can be gray white hard lesion or cystic presentation or cyst with multiple papillary excrescence or papillary projection. Gray white, solid gray white and hard scarlet, or this is the solid gray white area, or a cyst with multiple papillary excrescence. So what do you see in histology? Very, very important. So first, what you appreciate are nothing but papillae. Papillae with finger-like projections or papillae with fibrovascular core. And apart from that, what do you see? So the lining papillae are nothing but the follicular cells, and these follicular cells, what are the tumor cells with nucleus having optically clear nucleus or ground glass appearance of the nucleus. Very, very important. Optically clear nucleus or ground glass appearance. Ground glass means empty appearing nuclei, and nuclei showing nuclear grooves. Nuclear inclusions. What are nuclear inclusion? Intranuclear cytoplasmic inclusions. That is nothing but invagination of the cytoplasm into the nucleus. So, and clear cytoplasm. All this you see. And papillary carcinoma, the diagnosis is not based just on the papillae, because papillae you can also see in case of multinodular goiter. What is most important in a papillary carcinoma of thyroid is nothing but nuclear features. Very, very important, the nuclear features. So what do you see microscopically? Microscopically, you can see finger-like papillae with fibrovascular core. The lining papillae are nothing but the tumor cells, well differentiated tubular cell. Now, how do you make out how do you see the tumor cells? Tumor cells with the nucleus that is optically clear or ground glass appearing nucleus or empty appearing nucleus. So that is nothing but orphan annuli appearing nucleus. Orphan annuli nucleus. So ground glass or optically clear nucleus, and within the nucleus you have invagination of the cytoplasm. So invagination of cytoplasm into the nucleus, which is nothing but intranuclear inclusions. Intranuclear inclusions or pseudo inclusions. Invagination of the cytoplasm into the nucleus, so which is nothing but intranuclear inclusions or pseudo inclusions, and as well as intranuclear growth. So within the nucleus, you have intranuclear inclusions or pseudo inclusions. That is nothing but invagination of the cytoplasm into the nucleus, intranuclear inclusions or pseudo inclusions, or intranuclear groups. So all this orphan annuli appearance or optically clear nucleus and intranuclear inclusions or pseudo inclusions is invagination of the cytoplasm into the nucleus. And also you can see nuclear grooves also you can see, and cytoplasm is clear. Sometimes apart from papillary architecture in papillary carcinoma, you can also have follicular architecture or solid shape. Now then how do you make out it is papillary carcinoma? Based on the nuclear features. Nuclear features that optically clear nucleus, intranuclear cytoplasmic inclusion, nuclear grooves, nuclear overlapping. All this nuclear feature helps in identification. So you can see that there are multiple papillae with fibrovascular core. So this is the fibrovascular core. So multiple papillae with fibrovascular core. Now in high power, what do you see? The nuclei appear very much clear. So clear appearance, ground glass appearance, or optically clear nucleus. So clear appearance. See this eye, how it is optically clear. So clear nucleus, you can see clear nucleus, optically clear nucleus. So and also you can see that these are nuclear grooves. So nuclear grooves, and these are inclusions. So intranuclear cytoplasmic inclusions. So inclusions. So very characteristic of papillary carcinoma is inclusions. So this is nothing but inclusion. So and these are nuclear grooves. So papillary carcinoma, what you can see are Apart from the papillary, nuclear features, so optically clear nucleus or ground glass appearance, very much clear nucleus, similar to this side. So clear nucleus like this, it will be how the eyeball is here in the same way. So optically clear nucleus. So next you can see that nuclear grooves, nuclear inclusions, intranuclear cytoplasmic inclusions. So invade the capsule and intrathyroidal lymphatics, but never the blood vessels. So papillary carcinoma, it's addicted. Mostly it is to the lymph nodal spread. So lymph nodal spread is most common. So most commonly it is cervical lymph node. Lymph nodal spread is common in papillary carcinoma, and it invades the capsule and lymphatics it invades, but never into the blood vessels. So very, very rare. Hematogenic spread is rare. So there is invasion of capsule. So also intrathyroidal lymphatics for blood vessels. Usually you do not see them. Never, almost never in a papillary carcinoma. But you can see that these are psammoma bodies or psammomatous calcification. This pink material, what you see are calcification, psammomatous calcification, which is characteristic of papillary carcinoma. Psammoma bodies, 50% of the papillary carcinoma have concentric calcification or spherules. These concentric calcification or spherules are psammoma bodies in papillary carcinoma of thyroid. What are the variants of papillary carcinoma of thyroid? You can see follicular variant of papillary carcinoma of thyroid, tall cell variant of papillary carcinoma, diffuse sclerosing variant, and papillary microcarcinoma. So all these are variants of papillary carcinoma. What are the variants? Several variants. So depending upon how the tumor cells appear, you can have follicular variant. Means so here you did not see papillae, but you only see the follicular arrangement of tumor cells. But how do you call it as papillary carcinoma? Based on nuclear feature. So this is follicular variant of papillary carcinoma, tall cell variant. Tumor cells are very, very tall. So tall cell variant based on nuclear feature, again you can see it is papillary carcinoma. Next, diffuse sclerosing variant. So you can see that there is sclerosis of entire tissue. So that is diffuse sclerosing variant. Papillary microcarcinoma. So what is microcarcinoma here is? So very tiny focus of the tumor, less around 1 centimeter or less than 1 centimeter. You can see papillary carcinoma. Very tiny focus. So about almost entire tissue is normal. Only one particular focus, 1 centimeter or less than 1 centimeter. You can see papillae with nuclear feature. That is why it is called papillary microcarcinoma. So microscopically, you have papillae and all the nuclear features which we have shown, inclusions and overlapping, grooves, and all that ground glass appearance, all that we have seen, and variants like follicular variant, tall cell variant, diffuse sclerosing variant, and microcarcinoma. Prognosis is very good for papillary carcinoma of thyroid. 10-year survival rate you can see in case of 80 to 95% of the cases. So 80 to 95% of cases, you see 10-year survival rate, irrespective whether the tumor is pure papillary, mixed or papillary or follicular carcinoma. So prognosis is very good, excellent in papillary carcinoma. And you can see 10-year survival rate. It can be 80 to 95%. That is 10-year survival rate. You can see in 80 to 95% of the tumor, 80 to whether it is pure papillary or any other mixed, like papillary with follicular carcinoma. Whatever it is 80 to 95%. Prognosis is good. Next, follicular thyroid carcinoma. So similar to follicular adenoma, which is a benign tumor of thyroid, you have follicular carcinoma. Means here the tumor cells are arranged in follicular pattern, and most importantly, what you have to see, similar arrangement like follicular adenoma, well encapsulation. So with the tumor cells arranged in follicular, most importantly is capsular and vascular invasion, which you do not see in adenoma, follicular adenoma. And what you see in a follicular carcinoma is capsular invasion and capsular and vascular invasion into the blood vessel, invasion into the capsule. Then you call it as follicular carcinoma. So 10 to 20% of the cases you have follicular thyroid carcinoma, usually seen in middle and old age. Male to female ratio 1:2.5. Contrast to papillary carcinoma, this has positive correlation with endemic goiter. So endemic goiter area, it is more common. External radiation role is also there. So presentation of follicular carcinoma, a solitary nodule or single nodule, firm nodular thyroid enlargement. So it is slow growing. Slow growing, greater, rapid than so it is usually a slow growing. Contrast to papillary thyroid carcinoma, you do not see regional lymph node involvement. Here it is more commonly blood-borne metastasis or hematogenous metastasis, more common to lungs and bones. So 10 to 20% of cases you have follicular carcinoma, more common in middle and old age. So male to female ratio usually 1:2.5. So it has correlation with endemic goiter, and radiation has a role. Presence as a solitary nodule similar to follicular adenoma, usually slow growing, less cases rapid, and regional lymph node metastasis is rare. More commonly it is blood-borne metastasis common to lungs and bones. Gross. So like adenoma, it appears with a that is well encapsulated lesion. Like adenoma, it appears. See, solitary adenoma, well encapsulated or well circumscribed nodule. Obvious cancerous irregular thyroid enlargement. But what you see here is there is an irregular thyroid enlargement. Well encapsulated, well circumscribed, but irregular thyroid enlargement. Also on cut section, you see hemorrhagic area, necrotic areas, cystic areas. So cystic areas, these are cystic areas, cyst with hemorrhage, necrotic areas, all that may be seen. Sometimes grossly also you can appreciate that there is breach in the capsule or break in the capsule and tumor outside the capsule also. So, but usually like adenoma, it is well encapsulated and gray white lesion. You can see hemorrhagic area, necrotic area, cystic area, and may involve the adjacent structure. But rest of the thyroid margins are usually irregular. So you can see that predominantly it is a follicular pattern. In follicular carcinoma like adenoma, you have microfollicular, macrofollicular, trabecular, and solid arrangement. And tumor cells are usually hyperchromatic. Cytoplasm is similar to other follicular cells. There are different variants of follicular carcinoma: clear cell variant, Hürthle cell, or oxyphilic, that is cells having abundant granular eosinophilic cytoplasm. Here you do not have papillae, or you do not have the nuclear feature of papillary carcinomas, or you do not have pseudomatous calcification. The concentric laminations, what you see, are pseudomatous calcifications that you do not see. Most important, what you see here is capsular and vascular invasion. Very, very important. Capsular and vascular invasion you will see, and you will not see the lymphatic invasion. So what do you see here is nothing but mainly like in adenoma, the follicular pattern, follicles of varying sizes. So trabecular arrangement, solid arrangement, microfollicles, macrofollicles, and the cells have hyperchromatic nuclei and cytoplasm similar to other follicular cells. You can have similar to follicular adenoma, you can have Hürthle cells also here. So that cells with abundant granular eosinophilic cytoplasm, clear cells you can have, but they lack the papillae, like in papillae, nuclear features of papillae you will not have. Concentric calcification, pseudomatous calcifications also you will not have. What is most important here? You can see that there is a vascular invasion and as well as capsular invasion, and you do not see lymphatic invasion, capsular and vascular invasion. So similar to adenoma, you have follicles. So follicular arrangement filled with colloid, and the cells have hyperchromatic nuclei. So hyperchromatic nuclei, clear cytoplasm, hyperchromatic nuclei. So what is important here is this is a capsule. There is invasion of the capsule. So you can see that tumor cells outside the capsule. So there is invasion of the capsule with the tumor cells outside. So there is a break in the capsule or breach in the capsule and tumor cells outside the capsule. This is capsule. break or breach in the capsule, and you can see that tumor cells are also there outside the capsule. So within the capsule you have tumor cells, outside the capsule. So capsular invasion, breach in the capsule, capsular invasion, and this is vascular invasion. So within the blood vessel, this is blood vessel, you can see the tumor cell. So both the capsular and as well as the breach in the capsule and tumor cells outside the capsule, and you can have vascular invasion tumor cells within the blood vessel. So prognosis is between papillary thyroid carcinoma and undifferentiated carcinoma, that is anaplastic carcinoma. So prognosis is between the two, papillary and anaplastic carcinoma. 10-year survival rate is 50 to 70%. Not as good prognosis as papillary carcinoma, not as bad prognosis as anaplastic, and 10-year survival you see in 50 to 70% of the cases. So this we have already discussed medullary carcinoma, we finished, and we also finished medullary and anaplastic carcinoma, types of anaplastic carcinoma, all that we have finished. So just a nutshell. So for all the differences between this also we have dealt in the last class. So all the thyroid malignancy and their differences. Just one more time we'll just go through since we have finished all the four. So most common of all the thyroid malignancy is papillary carcinoma. 75 to 80%, followed by follicular 10 to 20, medullary 5, and anaplastic 5%. Age, papillary carcinoma is common in all the ages. So, and also follicular carcinoma you can see in middle to old age. So, medullary middle to old age, and hereditary familial also, anaplastic old age. Female to male, in all the cases more common in female. Papillary 3:1, follicular 2.5:1, medullary 1:1, 1.5:1. Relation to radiation maximum in papillary. Follicular to some extent, anaplastic also present. What are the genetic alteration? So red overexpression in papillary, NTRK1. So you already know neutrophilic tyrosine kinase receptor gene rearrangement, RAS mutation in follicular, PAX, so peroxisomal PPAR, peroxisomal proliferative receptor gamma 1. So gene mutation, red gene mutation in case of medullary, beta catenin mutation in P53 in anaplastic. Cell of origin, very important, follicular in papillary, follicular in follicular carcinoma, anaplastic follicular, only medullary carcinoma. It is parafollicular or CSET. Gross, it can be small and multifocal. Morphology, cystic appearance, small and multifocal. Follicular, it is moderate size and nodular arrangement, gross appearance. Medullary, moderate size. Anaplastic, invasive borders or invasive growth. So pathognomic microscopic feature in papillary is nuclear features, papillary pattern with nuclear features in papillary carcinoma. Follicular carcinoma, you have vascular invasion as well as capsular invasion in follicular carcinoma. Medullary carcinoma, you have nesting pattern of the tumor cells with amyloid stroma in case of medullary carcinoma. Anaplastic carcinoma, you have undifferentiated tumor cells, Jane cells, and spindle cells. So nuclear features is important in papillary, capsular and vascular in follicular, medullary, nesting pattern of the tumor cells and amyloid stroma. Anaplastic, undifferentiated spindle cell and Jane cells in anaplastic. Regional lymph node metastasis more common in papillary, medullary, and anaplastic, but follicular it is heterogeneous. Distant metastasis common in follicular and anaplastic, rare in papillary and medullary. 10-year survival rate more common in papillary, that is 80 to 95%. So follicular 50 to 70%. So prognosis is good in papillary, 80 to 95%, 50 to 70% in follicular, medullary 60 to 70. Bad is anaplastic, which is best is papillary. Bad is anaplastic, which is 5 to 10%. So with this, we have finished thyroid malignancy. So at least one question will be given in thyroid, especially mostly it is usually on thyroid malignancy. Thank you. Today we finished the class. Thank you very much.